What is a business advisor? Who are these people? What's their background? Hey everybody, welcome to another webisode here at the Sunbelt Insider, where we talk about some of the nitty and gritty things. We talk about the deals and things like that happen here at the office. And we're joined today by Helen Liu. She's our principal broker. And Helen, thanks again for joining us on another webisode. And, Helen and I are talking about the next year and plans and growth. Our office did pretty well in 2022, and we're looking at maybe bringing on some more people. But one of the things we wanted to talk about is, what is a business advisor? Who comes here? Why do people become business advisors? Who are these people? What's their background? Understanding who you're working with when you learn about business brokerage. You want to start talking to somebody at a business brokerage office and how they can help you. So let's get into it. So Helen, tell me a little bit about some of the important things that you notice about people that become business brokers.
Oh, that's a really good question. I think people who like to help other people, that's the first quality I think for a business broker to have. Mm-hmm. So you would like to help other people to achieve their goal, and just through the process, because basically we work with the business owners. We sell their business, but really in the process, you're working with the people in the process.
I was on a call the other day with a new client. One of the questions she asked me was, she said, how many people that work on your team came out of the real estate industry and now work for you? And the answer I had for her was none. All of our business brokers are either previous or current. We even have a current business owner, not just you, Helen, but one of our agents also does business on the side as well. Or their C-level executive. That's who's on our team. I kind of find some pride in that, and that's kind of what they wanted to hear. So, realtors, I think when people get into real estate, they want to help. But what would you say makes a business broker different? Why would you, it requires the same license, real estate license. Why would you get into business brokerage versus real estate?
I think business brokerage is a lot more dynamic. Real estate brokers, they just transact with the real estate. Real estate doesn't really change much. There's a building, you have a tenant or you have a resident, but the building itself doesn't change. There's a location. The surroundings are relatively stable, the same. They only change over a long-term period of time. Mm-hmm. So the value of that real estate is relatively stable and easy to determine. And your buyers are relatively easy to determine because usually will be people who are around the area. But for business itself is a living entity. Mm-hmm. So it has its own course of life, and who manages it will make that creature different. We're dealing with an organization that could be changing on a daily basis, or maybe at least monthly, right? Generally, business owners will have a monthly financial statement. So they need to put their pulse on the business, right? And all of this will have impact on the value of the business. So I guess go back to your question, what's the difference between a real estate broker and a business broker? The basic thing is what we're working with is different. One's real estate, relatively stable, investment. But the business is very dynamic. It changes every day.
Yeah, we help manage and advise so that not only when you're a business owner that wants to sell your business, how to look at your financials and make sure that everything makes sense, right? Maybe there's some areas you can improve, that sort of thing. We help manage that. And with a buyer, yeah, they're assuming some risk, right? When they pick up this business, it could lose its value if they don't run it properly after the fact. So that's also even more importantly why we're there to guide rather than to sell. And so usually a buyer knows what they want to buy and a seller knows what they want to sell, obviously their business. So we're not really pushing anybody there or trying to do a sales pitch really necessarily, but we just want to make sure that there's success. That's the ultimate goal, is not only just a transition of a sale, but success. And yeah, unlike real estate, you just need to be financially qualified and other factors. And yeah, that value is probably just going to go up because it's not live. Like you said, it's just a piece of property. So that's very different different. I think in real estate, what I find, and this comes from my background having worked with realtors. When I was at a venture capitalist firm, I worked with a lot of luxury realtors, and that's how we would source some of the people that we would find to fund some of the projects that the venture capitalist was working with. But working with them, it seemed like almost anybody can do it. You just got to get a license and you get in there, and it's kind of like a money thing, right? But in business brokerage, I think there's just something different about it. I think when people become business brokers, like the guys on our team who used to own businesses and sold them, some of them even sold them through this office, which is awesome. But what they saw was, yeah, like you mentioned, after they sold their business, now what? But they take that experience that they have and they can now help other people do what they did. And I think real estate, that's pretty well known out there. Everybody knows about the real estate industry, but a lot of people don't even know about business brokerage. So let's say I was coming out of a real estate school. Why would I decide that I would want to get into business brokerage versus real estate? What is it that would drive someone like me to want to do that versus just getting into real estate where you just sell these pieces of real estate versus these organic businesses?
Well, to me, really, I think it's just the fun. I think to do a business transaction is a lot more fun than real estate. I mean, real estate can be exciting, right? There are many types of real estate as well. You know, you can get into something similar to probably have more similarity to a business transaction would be like a hotel. You know, there's operation in that real estate. But you know, when you do business transactions, really they're just a lot more fun. There's people involved, there's products involved, there's services involved, suppliers, consumers, buyers, right? All of these will take part in that business operation and mix up the business. And all of them will interact together to have impact on the business value. All these together, I think it's just a lot more fun, and it's a lot more challenging, of course, right? Sometimes, but it's also a lot more rewarding after you finish a transaction, right? And you help the business owner to achieve the kind of value they wanted to achieve. In most cases, they enjoy their retirement life after that.
Great point. I mean, one of the reasons I love working for this office is I get calls from from our agents all the time, and it's just never the same story. And that's why the whole soul of this webisode series is the things that happen. It's exciting. It really is. And overcoming those obstacles together with the seller, you kind of build a bond with that client. And it's never really the same thing. I mean, there's the basic fundamentals of business brokerage, right? But everything is so different. It's like you're dealing with a different human being every time. And it's exciting, and it's a constant learning process. And yeah, it's a team effort. And, there's a lot of attaboys that happen. But also, too, one of the points that blows my mind is the commission rate. I shouldn't really quote what the commission rate is on the webisode series, but it's significantly higher than what the real estate market is. And so the reward, besides the fact that it's rewarding personally to see the difference that you're making in people's lives, the reward for your work is really a good payout for you as well.
It is compensating for the more complicated work we do.
Yeah, that's right. And I think the reason why a lot of people think initially, let me get into real estate with my license, is because they don't know about business brokerage. But I think we're doing a good job of getting this out there for people to see. If you've got that license, see what business brokerage does for you. I wonder if you could share a little bit about the deal. You just closed on a signage company, and I know that had some challenges, and where you felt like you were rewarded for getting past those.
In this particular case, the challenge was this was a small team. So once the seller leaves the current business, there's really not much of a team left. So who's going to take over the operation is very critical. So we focused on somebody who has the industry background, who has the experience, who can take up the operation quickly, can really benefit from existing goodwill and establishment of that company. So we found actually another signage company that can easily take over the operation. That's really the rewarding part. You find the right buyer for the right business. And the seller, in most cases, they really care who's going to carry on their legacy.
Yeah,
that is a business they probably have built for years, right?
Yeah, it's their baby. Yeah,
it is their baby. So in that sense, we're the matchmaker, finding the right buyer to the right seller. So they both think this is the right transaction for the buyer. This has to provide not just the financial benefit to them, but also to their operation, to their reputation, continue the success for the buyer going to the future. In that case, for the signage business, eventually we were able to find a buyer who has the existing team, can easily just absorb the seller's team into their operation and continue the goodwill, the customer connection. So challenge and reward, they also go together, right? At the beginning it's a challenge, but at the end it will be a reward.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Like with buying a house, if the house is worth $1 million and you have $1 million, you have the house. If you're trying to buy a printing company and you don't have printing experience or you're not the right buyer, we have to pass on you. So finding that right buyer is very rewarding, not only for us, but of course for the seller. I mean, that's what a business owner contracts us for, is to find that golden buyer, right? But sometimes you find the golden buyer and they're not always easy to deal with. Was this an easy buyer to deal with?
The first couple of months was difficult. We chased after the buyer for a couple of months. The buyer was traveling quite a bit. The buyer had two partners. One partner was really interested. The other partner was not quite. So one of them have to convince the other one. So we were patient, and I stayed on top with the buyer. So after a couple of months, then eventually they came to the agreement that they think this is an opportunity to evaluate at least. Then eventually, after the due diligence, they think this is a good purchase for them. Then we close the deal. You have to be persistent.
Yeah, you really have to keep people on track with this sort of stuff. It's business owners who are watching these videos, and it's business owners that maybe after they sell their business through us, they may want to think about using their extremely valuable experience as a business owner to become a business broker with an outfit like Sunbelt. Is there anything else that you might want to share with those folks?
Business broker is really a profession. There's no retirement age. The older you're getting, the more valuable you are, I think, because a lot of skills we have as business brokers from experience. The more experience you have, more skilled, and the more prepared you are at different kinds of situations. And for business owners, because they've had their own ownership experience, they have more of the intimate knowledge about the seller and sometimes the buyer as well. Right? What kind of problems the sellers are facing, what goal they want to achieve, what kind of employee problem they need to handle, or where they need to take this product or the service to. So all of these, a broker who had prior ownership experience would be more familiar. They have intimate knowledge. That's why we actually have 3 brokers on our team. They had prior ownership experience. They had their own experience. They know how to manage a business. These are really valuable experience. And as I said, there's no retirement age for business broker. We have many business brokers who are in their 70s still working on transactions. And actually, those folks tend to get more trust. The more experienced you are, the more valuable you are in our profession. And young folks, of course, I encourage to join the group as well, can learn from a lot of these experienced mentors.
Yeah.
We really have good dynamic team here in our office because we have some younger folks and we have some experienced folks who help the junior ones. Someday, maybe you want to own your own. We have brokers who bought their own business. So there are a lot of opportunities.
Yeah. And not to scare you, Helen, but down the road, if I ever leave Sunbelt, it's only going to be because I buy a business. Because, I see these gorgeous businesses passing by my desk every day. But to a very good point you're making, yes, if you're younger and you want to get into this is not a competitive, like offices don't really necessarily compete with one another. There are competitors, there's Sunbelt and there's other ones out there too. But this industry is really pretty cohesive. When you start working with another office, and especially here at Sunbelt internally between our agents, there's nothing but support. It's a professional industry, and I think there's something really nice about that. You feel like you're a true professional because you are. You're really doing something special and unique for people, and we're not necessarily entirely hungry. There's a lot of opportunity out there. There's people, especially with the baby boomer generation and other economic factors and things like that, people need to sell their businesses. And just like houses, if somebody wants to buy a house, they're going to buy a house regardless of the times, regardless of the interest rates. It's going to happen. And so buyers are always going to be out there too. So it's just a matter of really matchmaking is what we do. And I think that a huge part of the sales process that can be really stressful, that part doesn't necessarily exist here where it's dog eat dog and there's limited inventory and that sort of thing. So those are other benefits as well. Those are kind of my closing thoughts, Helen. Did you have anything else you wanted to share?
Well, first of all, if someday you find your own business, you want to be a business owner, congratulations. And We'll fully support you, and we probably will find that business for you.
Yeah,
But
I would.
we wouldn't want you to leave Sunbelt Business Brokers.
Yeah. I would never use
Yeah.
another.
Yeah. But
Anyway, that's
yeah,
yeah. But
this is a fun profession. Yeah. I really think you can learn a lot from different industries, different business owners, and you will have fun in the process.
I agree entirely. Helen, thanks again so much for joining us and sharing your insights. And this has been a fun conversation. I love talking about what we do because I love it too. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us, and we'll see everybody at the next webisode.